Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the newest episode of the Theater Enthusiast podcast. I'm very excited to welcome our next guest. They are a reporter, a photographer, a Broadway enthusiast, nerd, connoisseur like I. Maybe she might be a little bit more than I am, to be honest with you. Please welcome Shoshana, bwaySHO. Woo woo. Yeah, yeah. I will say, like, I do enjoy because you were mentioning, like, oh, I'm here in this area with my pink wall. I do like the pink background. I do feel like it's very on brand for you with
Yeah.
your theater. It reminds me of my old apartment when I had a roommate, and she and I in our youth saw the original cast of Spring Awakening many times. And they had
Nice.
these very pretty black and white photos of like Leah Michelle and Jonathan Groff as the characters, and she had one framed and on her shelves. So your little shelving unit reminds me of that.
Actually, so funny you should bring this up. This is not planned, but this is actually hilarious. At my house in Scarsdale, I have a printed photo of me and Matt Doyle from the Spring Awakening stage door.
When I saw him go on as Melchior, I cried at the stage door when I met him. And then that photo of him and I together was like the background to my computer for a little bit.
Oh yeah, Matt Doyle. Is that Matt Doyle? Because it sure feels like it. He's
Matt
that guy.
Doyle. Yeah, so my friends and I, when we, I'm like, when we were younger, oh God, age is an illusion. Um, I don't know how it came up. We just like started calling him like Matt Doyle, yeah. I don't know why we started to do that. He has no, like, he wouldn't know me if he fell on me. I met him at the stage door, like whenever I saw Spring Awakening and he staged.
Yeah,
But no, I just like distinctly remember like seeing him go on as Melchior, and he was so good as Melchior. I just like cried at the stage door.
love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make this a Matt Doyle podcast episode because
Sure.
I'm gonna yes and that and say when I was at the stage door. No, I saw Moulin Rouge
Hmm.
and the day after they won the Tony, something like that, right? Like it was like their first I guess 2 days after. So it was like their first performance after winning the Tony. And I was going to meet up with friends to get pizza. So I'm like on my phone looking, trying to like figure out Google Maps, right? I'm like, where
Yeah.
do I go? And I look up and it's Matt Doyle. Now we like know each other, which is
Mhm.
wild, very wild. But back then, he was just this guy that I was a fan of, who I had met many years ago, and had my favorite stage door experience. Just like, and I wanted to tell him that, like, it's amazing how a stage door experience can stick with someone their whole life. So I was in my teens when that happened, and I still remember how nice he was. And
Yeah.
so I just like wanted to go over and like tell him that.
Hmm.
And so I go over and I'm like, hey Matt, my name is Shoshana. He's like, hey Shoshana, how's it going? And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I I know you. I've seen you around. And I was like so thrown off because I was going into this interaction as just like a fan, as not bwaySHO per se, as just
Yeah.
like you were really nice to me many years ago, and I appreciate that. And then he knew who I was, and I was just like, Matt Doyle knows who I am. It was wild. And now I got to interview him on the like company red carpet, and I've
Yeah.
seen him around, and I saw his little shop, his Seymour.
Mm.
So it's amazing. And I think this actually fits like your interview process so well that like being a fan does also like help me in my theater career because all these like experiences so many years ago have really like stuck with me and made me who I am today.
I like feel weirdly emotional. Like I feel like I'm on the brink of tears right now myself. It's like a few things I want to talk about with you just mentioning that. One, you said Matt Doyle, and then you mentioned Moulin Rouge, and I was like, ooh, he would be a good Christian.
Please, any day.
I still like, I don't know. I mean, I interviewed James D. Gish, and he's like, I auditioned for Christian. I'm like, Casey Cott is like 5 and he's playing it, so you could totally do it. And I actually saw Casey Cott, and he was pretty good.
Oh, I didn't see him, but I did see James in Wicked.
Yeah. I actually just saw him in the Jerusalem Syndrome, and I got to meet him in person. And if you are listening to this, please go see the Jerusalem Syndrome at the York Theater. It is the most fun and delightful, like, off-Broadway show. It
Cool.
really, like, and the cast is excellent, and there's like a little Drowsy reunion in there too. But
Ooh, love.
yeah. So you talking about like your stage door experiences, because in my youth and through
I,
college, you have all these interactions at the stage door, and some good, some not so great. Um,
yes.
but it's funny that you mentioned like having these people that like meant so much to you, and you were going up to this person as a fan. And I've had some people come on to the podcast who I have been such fans of or fan of for so long, and the fact that they agreed to do my podcast, like I've had some like physical reactions to reading an email where they said, yes, this
Oh,
person, yeah, like I got an email where it said like, oh, this person would be happy to do it. I live in a studio apartment. I ran literal laps in my apartment when I
yes.
saw the email that this person, I'll just say who it is. It's Steve Kazee.
Nice.
I've been a fan of him since I saw him in Spamalot, and
Yeah.
like haven't, and I even told him because he cried. I cried first on the podcast. Listen to the episode; it's really good, guys. Plugging another podcast episode on this one, but you know,
As you should.
yeah, having people come on who mean so much to you,
Yeah.
it's a big thing, and
Totally.
it's yeah, it's so funny too that you mentioned like, oh, now you have like a little thing with people. Like during the pandemic, I directed a couple of virtual play readings, and I went to see a show last night, and one of the actors was actually at the show last night that I
Oh,
saw, and I was like, I kind of know this person. I'm just going to go up and introduce myself. And I did. And they were lovely. And I was like, hi, I'm Allison Tanny. We did, oh, yeah. Hi, how are you? So it was, yeah, I
yeah.
totally, I totally get it. And also, like, when I read that they agreed, when like it was a two-hander, the play, when I read who said yes to doing it, another physical reaction, I was jumping up and down in my kitchen and I fell into my refrigerator. So
Natural New York moment.
yeah, and my refrigerator is covered in magnets, and like half of them are theater magnets. Sorry, I keep like going into the camera because I have an office chair that likes to, go
Uh,
down when I sit in
totally.
it. But
Yeah.
now that we just like
Professional setup right here, which I understand the folks listening at home don't know, but when you live in New York City, and I see other people who have like setups and all these things that, and I do not have a setup. When I did the show must go online, I lived in Washington State, and there I had a setup, and my setup is still in Washington State, and
that's
I should
fine.
probably get that ring light
Was
back.
that
Uh,
was that during the pandemic you started that and you like moved to Washington State for the
yeah.
panoramic? Mm,
Yeah, the panoramic. That's where Slimbo, who my famous dog, famous in the sense that he's the love of my life and is so cute and is the background to my phone, and is the most important being in my life. I think most people know this. And Slimbo would make appearances on the show must go online, which we can just like dive right into. I started because
yeah.
we were in the pandemonium, and I'm trying to think of how many different words I can use for that without saying it. And everyone was like doing something, and the first 2 weeks I was like in a blah, as everyone was. And then I was like, it seems like we're going to be here for a while. Let's do this to keep ourselves sane. So
Yeah.
as show puns go, the show must go online. Line. And I just started to you know message people like you were saying, and starting with the folks who I had built a pretty nice relationship with.
Yeah.
And it's still scary though, like even when you build a nice relationship, and especially like during that hard time, like because on one hand it was like, yes, everyone is free,
Mhm.
but on the other hand, like everyone's exhausted and sad and trying to stay alive. And so I never took for granted or expected anyone to say yes, and I was always like super grateful, and I remember I'm pretty sure my first interview was with Joe Iconis and Lauren Marcus,
Hmm.
which really nice for me because Be More Chill was the first opening night I got to cover.
Such a great show too.
So great. I
Yeah.
love Be More Chill. I think most people who know bwaySHO know that I saw Be More Chill like 5 times. We had like a little partnership
Did
together.
you see it off Broadway first and then on Broadway, or did you just start
Oh,
on Broadway? Sorry, my
yeah.
hair, my hair is like 20
Come
directions.
on.
It's fine. It's good. Don't worry. It'll be up at some point.
Yeah, I missed there are actually like a whole bunch of shows in my so I'm from New York. I went to University of Maryland, go Terrapins. I worked at Comcast Sportsnet, then I lived in Texas for 2 years and worked at CBS 7, and then I came back to New York. So there's like a time period from like growing up where I saw every show. It
I'm
looks
sorry. Shoshana just laughed because I'm trying to like fix my hair. It,
looks wonderful.
thank you. I've given up, but it's all good. Sorry, continue.
You're good.
So there was
So
a
like
time period where you missed a bunch of stuff.
yeah, like I saw like Legally Blonde and 13 and all the and Spring Awakening like when I was younger, and then I
Mhm.
went away to college, and then the only show when I like came back, I saw 2 shows when I came back in those like 7 years basically on Broadway, which was Hamilton
Mhm.
as not original cast. I did see Javi though; it was amazing, it was great, and then I saw Once on This Island, which
Oh,
was
wow. I
life changing.
tried its week of closing, and then afterwards I was like, how and why is the show closing? I will say though, I'm friends with somebody who used to be used to work front of house at that show, and he's like, yeah, we're not upset about the show closing because of the sand.
The sand and the goats.
No, mostly the sand. But
Would
I
it
mean, like, other than that, I have a friend who did costumes on that show, so there is a photo of me with the goats.
nice
Yeah,
life goal?
yeah,
Life goal. Oh,
yeah. Meeting the goats.
love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Be More Chill was the first one in this new iteration. I
Mhm.
missed it off, which I heard was really great. I missed that Two River, missed all that stuff. Saw it on Broadway. Saw first preview, loved it. I had met Joe and the gang at they had this like get to know Be More Chill and the folks behind it at the Guggenheim Museum.
Mhm.
And it's so cold. I remember there were like all these jokes like be more warm. And I remember like introducing myself when there was like a little reception after. And then I was at the first preview and Joe Iconis looked at me. He goes, "Hey Shoshana, how's it going?" And I was like amazed that someone who I had met once in a crowd of people
Yeah.
remembered my name. And I was like, this is someone to remember because someone
Mhm.
who takes time to really remember you. Like I am awful with names and like I'm great with faces. So I'll be like, oh, we met at blah blah blah. But the fact that like Joe Iconis on the day of his first preview on Broadway remembered my name, I was like, lifelong fan. Let's go.
Yeah. I think I've gotten better with names, but for a very long time, I'm like, I'm not going to remember your name, but I will remember your face. So let's like go back a little bit because you did talk about like where you went to college and all that stuff. So did you always know that you wanted to go into journalism?
Great question. So the way I always like to say it now that Hamilton's come out is that I always wanted to be in the room where it happens, the room where it happens, like for anything. I just wanted to be a part of it. So
Yeah.
I will just talk in random theater references throughout, and if you catch them, you catch them. Someone who's watching at home or listening at home, feel free to like keep a counter, but like that was a
Oh,
New
should
York
I
theater.
like post like, hey, like when I announce you as my guest, to be like, if you get all of the theater references, you'll win a prize. I don't know what that prize will be,
Yes,
but you'll win. Maybe I'll like send you one of my business cards that I have.
love that.
Thank you. I actually do. Do you have business cards?
Yeah, somewhere in this apartment.
Yeah, I actually like made one on Shark.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, well, it's my logo. I just like how I'm showing it off. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ah,
Ooh, that's a
yeah.
full thing.
It's a full thing. And shout out to like my old roommate who was like, you should put QR codes on your business card. And I did. And I've gotten a lot of compliments about doing that. So I also gave one to the actor I officially met in person last night because like I know I've interviewed you. Like I said to him, like, I know I've like reached out to you before, but I have a podcast. Like if you want to come on to it, you
That's
know,
great.
you have to
Yeah.
hustle. Yeah, like I feel like
Gotta hug.
you gotta hustle. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've like DM'd people or I've like emailed these contacts I had or like reach out to agents and all that stuff or like meeting somebody in person. Like you just have because yeah, honestly, at the end of the day, and this is for anybody listening, if you want to get into this, you have nothing to lose. The worst they can do is say no, you
Yeah.
know? And then you just go, okay, it wasn't meant to be, and you move on. So there you go.
Yeah. It's true.
So getting back to you wanting to be in the room
Yeah.
where it happens, the room where
Yes.
it happens. Okay.
So I originally the original dream,
Mhm.
which I try to like sometimes make posts about this, like maybe like once a year or so, because I feel like a lot of people don't know it, is I was a sports reporter.
Yeah.
So
You were a reporter. Hold on, I wrote this down somewhere, I promise. It was I have it. I wrote it. Okay, report it. No, I promise I wrote it. You know what? Fuck it. Please. I wrote it down. I did.
I'm
Reporter.
my own.
Okay, go ahead. I
um
do research people before they come on, and now I
oh,
can't.
literally I used to have, like, when I did the show must go online, I had like different colored like cards, what are they called, not post-it notes, but like actual, like,
Mhm.
what are these,
Index cards?
index cards,
Yeah.
thank you. I'd like rainbow index cards, and it would be like Alex Brightman green, like be more chill, like I was color coordinated to what I felt like their energy was, or what I knew them from.
Yeah. I will say though, from my experience in interviewing like 40 plus people at this point, do your research because I had somebody comment to me after like how great they thought that it was that I actually like did my research and knew what I
Yeah,
was talking about. Because they said, "Do
totally.
people not normally do that?" And they said, no, they don't. So, and like for me, I like being prepared. I don't want to go in and be like, oh, I don't know this or that. And I also just like finding like weird little things that I'll bring up and it'll like surprise them.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
always
yeah.
like that aspect. Oh, for Broadway show, bwaySHO. Let's see how many times we're going to make that reference. Can we
I
like
love
shout out Ethan Slater, your Spamalot interview when he said that?
that was great, the show nanigans.
Yeah. Can I just say, like, I saw the original production of Spamalot so many times because I had like a stalker obsession with Alan Tudyk for 3 months, and I don't like talking about it because it's probably the most embarrassing thing that I've ever done in my life. Um, but the fact that, and I'm a huge SNL fan, so the fact that you got to interview Taran Killam
Yeah.
just fills me with so much jealousy because I love
Yeah.
him so
To
much.
edit. He was so much. Taran Killam was probably the only person who I like didn't know ahead of time. Like, I mean, I
Yeah,
knew him. He didn't know me. Like, I also love
yeah,
SNL. And the second he came up for the interview, we had this fabulous rapport. And I was just like, oh my God, this guy. Also,
yeah.
I'm gonna do a quick plug that
Mhm.
Showtreon. So anyone who subscribes to my bwaySHO Patreon, they get the full red carpet experience. So I post like half hour or hour clips that you get to see like everything. And I know some of my friends, especially who live in Michigan or,
Mhm.
Washington State, or I have folks in all over the world, in the
Yeah,
UK, like that it gives them a red carpet experience. So I need
yeah.
to plug that. So that
Oh,
was my
don't worry, I have it written down. We are going Patreon/bwaySHO,
yeah,
patreon.com/bwaySHO.
nailed it. Nailed
Thank
it.
I have my moments.
Great. Also, I saw the cast of Spring of Spamalot with Clay Aiken.
Wow,
Yeah.
I did not. I think my like craziness of Spam a lot like died down. I think maybe
Yeah.
like the last cast I saw was like Lauren Kennedy and like Steve Kazee, maybe like the replacements. Then I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I need to calm down. And I was like, I don't need to see. Like, I saw him many times because Alan Tudyk was in it. Again, don't like, I do think if I like, he's on my list of people I would love to have on the podcast. And I feel like that moment would be so full circle.
Totally.
If
Totally.
if he came on.
Yeah.
Like I saw him like a few years later in Prelude to a Kiss, and like we had a stage door and he saw me and he like had this look of recognition.
Oh,
It was, I don't like talking about it. It was, I'm getting like embarrassed and cringing, just
no,
like
that's great.
myself at 18, obsessed with him. Anyway, so I'll just, we get sidetracked a lot on podcasts. So it
Yeah.
happens. Welcome, get excited about it. Is there a fun theater reference we can do where people get sidetracked?
Mm. The only thing I can think of is like sideshow.
Mm,
So sideshow tracked. I don't know. Some
like
getting
that. We're gonna like include that. We're now that we're sideshow tracked, let's get back to the actual show on hand. Thank you.
excellent.
I do enjoy a fun pun. So you've always wanted to be in the room where it happened. So did that kind of made you realize journalism?
Right. So when I went, I originally like the original dream, the like 9-year-old show dream was to be an Olympian. That was like the goal, right? Like to
May I
be
ask your sport of choice?
yeah. So I mean, soccer was always like my favorite sport.
Mhm,
Not that soccer in the Olympics is per se like the thing, but it
mhm.
was the only thing that I knew I could do in theory. Not that I was like that great at it, but I was like, I'm decent. I actually was like very good at softball, but that was not really of interest to me, which was very unfortunate that I was very good at the one sport that was not as much of like I loved being a center fielder, but I
Mhm.
also love soccer way more. That is my side note. I'm gonna get back on track because back on track. Um, so yeah, I would have loved to play soccer in the Olympics. I also realized by like, I don't know, age 15, 16, probably much earlier that that was simply not going to happen. And so it was like, what else could I do to be in the fun of it, to get to talk to the athletes, to get to go to the experiences, to the parties, to all of that. And
Yeah.
so I went to this like journalism day at Maryland before I went there, like
Mhm.
as a senior. And this panel was talking about this guy who had interned at WTOP and that he got to like go to all these games and interview all these folks. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And then I basically unintentionally somehow like followed exactly in this guy's footsteps. So I like went to Maryland. I ended up doing these journalism panels. I like worked at or I interned at WTOP, News Traffic and Weather together on the 8th. And then I interned and worked at Comcast Sportsnet where he did as well. And it was so cool. I got to like go to all these sporting events. I interviewed Alex Ovechkin and David Beckham, who is my yeah, this I will save my David Beckham. Come to bwaySHO. I'm gonna make a video about David Beckham very soon because I realized
Okay. You mentioned one of my all-time favorite movies, and I
yes,
bring this up because they also turned it into a musical, is Bend It Like Beckham.
amazing. Yes.
And there was somebody I went to college with who I was always like, you should just like, and she also knew I loved it and she loved the movie too. And we always had like, and she was a musical theater major. I wasn't, I was acting. It's a whole other thing, whole other podcast about my life. But so she and I always said, like, if they ever do Bend It Like Beckham, you need to play Jasminda on stage. And it didn't
Yes.
happen. But yeah, I will say I wish that I like could have gone to London to see Bend It Like Beckham, the musical, because
Yes.
I was like, there's no way, and there's still no way in hell that show is coming to New York.
I wish I could have seen it.
Yeah. There's like, the video trailer of it on YouTube somewhere with the
Yeah,
Jamie
watch
Campbell who played the I can't think of the character's name, but the coach of the female team.
that.
Now he's
Yeah.
big because of Stranger Things.
Oh.
it Jamie Campbell? Which it's the blonde guy who is anyway.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I'm talking about, right? I just can't think of his
Yeah.
name at the moment. He was in Twilight and other
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So getting back to Bend It Like Beckham, so you got to interview him, and then you were in Texas for a bit of time.
Yeah. For 2 years, I worked as an on-air reporter. So
Mhm.
that means I was on television, like basically 6 days a week, sometimes all seven, but usually we had at least a day off, if not two. And I was the Big Spring beat reporter. So I was in Big Spring, Texas, which is like an hour drive from Odessa, just Friday Night Lights and Midland. So, but I also was like the game of the week sports reporter. So I was like your community reporter for Big Spring, and then I was also your Friday Night Lights, game of the week reporter. So I would travel to all the different cities and cover like the football that you know and love from Friday Night Lights, like the book or the TV show. Um,
Or if you're older, like I am, Varsity Blues.
oh yeah, sure, sure. I'm not as familiar with that, but I
Okay,
believe.
I think based on our conversation, I'm a couple years older than you, but I think like my generation will understand Varsity Blues.
Excellent,
That
excellent.
was like the Dawson's Creek era with the what's his face? James Vanderbeek was in it and Ellie Lauder.
Yeah, and I was like, One Tree Hill.
Yeah, I'm so old compared to you. No, One
No,
Tree Hill was around. Like my younger sister, who's actually a reporter herself, she was like very into One Tree Hill as well. So
very.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
So
great.
you talking about like all these like not having days off. My sister is currently living through it right now too. She's a reporter. To plug my sister, uh,
Please.
if you're in Brooklyn in the Bronx, News 12, she's a reporter for them.
What's her name? Give us a
Her name
full.
is Lindsay Tanney. Follow her
Great.
on Instagram. I don't know her handle, but you can look her up. She's somewhere. She's very good. She
Yeah,
posts the report. I always tell her, I'm like, every time you post, I watch. She goes, you do? I was like, yeah, of course I do. I'm not gonna
yeah,
like not watch my sister like post her like news stuff. So you're in Texas for 2 years and then you posted a video. Now we're going to talk about your decision to move to New York, but then we're also going to talk about your name.
cool. Let's get into it.
So you posted a video where you also did all of your fun theater references. You got to sing on a stage at the Golden Theater in Texas, where you went by Samantha,
I
and now you
did.
go by Shoshana. So, what brought about the name change, but also what made you decide to leave Texas to pursue other opportunities or the opportunity you created for yourself, which is
Yeah.
a great thing to do for those listening? Um, in New York.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot went into it. Whenever I would introduce myself as Samantha, it always felt like I was introducing myself by a name that other people told me to do, but that I did not associate with. It just like it wasn't me, and I wanted it to be, but it felt like I was an actor giving a name because that was the role I was playing. And
Mhm.
so I remember I started wanting to go by Shoshana, which is my Hebrew name, like for a long time. Not forever. I know there was like someone who was like a Shosh or something like that in high school, and I was like, man, I wish I could go by that, but that's like her actual name, so I can't do that. And then I was talking to my rabbi when I was in Maryland, such a Jewish conversation. And then I was like slowly going by it in Maryland, but like not officially. And then when I moved to Texas and I had to like, you're on air, you have to have your name that people know you by. And we were talking about it. I was like, I really want to go by Shoshana. And they were like, you can, but we'd recommend you stick with Samantha. And I was like, heard. And it's always kind of a bummer because, Texas, it could go either way, right? Like I was like the first Jewish person a lot of people met. But also like a lot of people that I met, I made some like really wonderful connections. And I later told them that I preferred going by Shoshana, and they were like, oh my God, that's such a beautiful name. We wish you would gone by that from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, who's to say, right? Like, it could have prevented some opportunities, or it could have made me feel more like myself for ages. But it ended up working out okay. I do like to let people know this, because like if you watch my old reports, which I sometimes post, it's like, hi, I'm Samantha Medney reporting for CBS 7 News, uh, your breaking news and weather authority. Did I say that for WTOP? That's news, traffic, and weather together on the 8th. I knew that my brain was like getting confused. Edit this in there. I know you're not going to, but mentally, I knew when I said it out loud, I was like, that's the wrong saying for the wrong one. You go to enough news stations that you get them confused. No. Anyway, this is important to me. So I had to get that right. Don't come for me. and, um, so yeah. And so then they kind of, the stories kind of go hand in hand, because I was driving from Odessa to Big Spring one day, and it was almost like an epiphany where I was like, oh my God, at the end of my contract, like I need to move back to New York and be a theater reporter. And once it like came to me, I like knew I couldn't do anything else. Like, so I was doing the morning, I had a trending now segment that I did every morning, every weekday morning, and I would throw in 2 theater references every day. So this is like 2:30 in the morning, mind you. And every day, sometimes they would be like really small, like, when you rise up in the morning, I hope you check the weather, blah, 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 blah. Or like, I mean, this was like a few years ago. So it was like, in the election of 2020, like I would just phrase things in a way. It was a lot of Hamilton references, if I'm going to be honest with you. But I would like throw in Rent or Spring Awakening or Hairspray, all Legally Blonde. But I was like definitely in my Hamilton era. So it would be, and Hamilton is so quotable. So I'd just like throw little ones in there, and they were very fun, and I would share them with my friends. And like no one picked up on it in Texas, right? Like nobody was like, hey, that was a really weird way of saying that thing. Like I would never jeopardize the report, but it was like a trending now segment, right? It was already a fun community engagement one. So it was very fun. You can watch a lot of them still. This is a very long way of saying that I was doing this already. So I was already like making theater in my news. And then I was like watching a lot of these like Broadway videos and podcasts, and I was like, I could totally do that. Like I just knew I was already in Texas filming my own stuff. I was my own like reporter, videographer, editor, producer, everything. Like obviously we had other people who were like the lead producers and who were helping, but when you're a reporter in a small market, you are doing everything. You are filming, you're editing, like, and I did a lot of that stuff when I first moved to New York, right? Like giving you actual like a package, like a 2 to 3 minute package. And I was really proud of them. They also take like a lot of time and energy, and are not necessarily like, I left that for a reason. I left my like journalism of the on-air reporter side of myself so that I could have like more fun and do like these games on the red carpet, which I feel
Yeah.
like more people watch the games anyway, which is another whole thing. But like I can still do that, and for like special occasions, like I remember when I went to Hamilton Chicago's closing, like I did an actual report that I like wrote out my whole thing, and I was very proud of it. And I was like, oh, this was like really well done. But also that takes like a lot of energy and effort, and if you're covering something every single day, it's just hard to put in that much time and prep to cover like everything.
Yeah.
And so then I finished up my contract in Texas, drove across country, sold my car, moved in to, I was in Harlem, I was in Hamilton Heights. My life is nothing if not a parody of itself.
Yeah. Just you owe everything to Lin-Manuel Miranda at this point.
Everything, yes.
Yeah.
Who then he followed me on Twitter many years ago after, like, I think it was Yom Kippur. I was on the subway back home, and I like was getting off, and I turned my phone on for the first time in like 2 days because it was Yom Kippur. And I like saw this notification, and I saw that it was like actually him with the like blue thing. And I was like, oh my God, Lynn followed me. It was a huge day.
Did you have a physical reaction? Oh, something fell.
Oh no.
That scared me. Okay. Did you have like a physical reaction like my apartment just did to this news or
Yeah,
like did running through? Yeah. I get
yeah.
excited too when I see like certain people like follow my podcast. I mean, I have like my own personal Instagram, which I'm private on, but like my podcast Instagram that doesn't have a lot of followers, but you should follow at Theater Enthusiast.
Well,
Um, I get excited too, but like having Lynn follow you on Twitter, it's pretty cool.
yeah, that was I mean, it's weird. I was like on the C train. It would have been better if I were on the A train, but I was on the C. I must be honest to the folks listening at home. You must take the A train. But I was in somewhere else. I was like deeper in Harlem
Mhm.
coming. And yeah, I just like, it was funny because the doors opened and I like finally got service and I had finally turned on my phone and I saw it. And I was just like doing like a little dance. I'm on the C train. Like, you know, it's always cool
It's
to be
also
that.
New York too. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
No.
yeah, like people see you dance on the subway. Who cares? As long as you don't say it's showtime on the subway, I think you're fine.
Oh,
I
I'm.
Oh, you have? You're like, hey, it's showtime. I'm here interviewing this random theater fan on the subway. You guys all get to watch and listen. I so now you're in New York. How do you start building this career that you've made for yourself? Because you worked for Theater Pizzas, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, as
I
well
I
as
like I like the idea of theater pizzas. It was theater pizzazz.
oh, pizzazz, because clearly I can read. I can't really read that well, which is sad, but theater pizzazz, but and you have to do jazz hands whenever you say
Yeah,
pizzazz.
it was a mandatory jazz hands.
Yeah. I do it too. And also where is it? Theater guide as well. And then you have the bwaySHO. So
Yeah,
how did you just start yourself, I don't want like you came into your real self being Shoshana,
yeah,
you have your pink wall behind you. Like how did you like create and start this journey for yourself?
yeah, totally. In the January of 2019 was when I moved here. Right? 20, is that right? I guess so.
I hope
Yeah.
so. I personally don't know, so I
Yeah.
hope
Yeah.
I would hope that you asking the universe, someone will guide
Yeah.
you in the correct way.
Yeah. This makes sense. I'm having like an existential crisis that it's 2023 or the end of 2023. And I moved here in 2019. Yeah. So this is
It's
the
so
Jan.
weird you say that because like I was saying to myself like this morning, having like met this person I did this virtual reading with, I was like, that was 2 fucking years ago I worked with them.
Yeah.
And like the first reading I ever directed virtually next year, May, like coming up in a few months, is going to be 4 years. Like the
Right.
pandemic started like 4 years ago, which is crazy. Sorry, we were talking
Yeah.
about time conundrums, but continue.
No, this is helpful. I need to now make a note of this that coming up in January, that's 5 years of B-Way show.
Oh, hey.
Wow. I have to do
Are you
something for that.
I was gonna say, are you gonna do like a fun, maybe I'm like really good at planning things for people. Like if you've listened to the podcast, I've given people like ideas of like things to do for their careers. Like
Yeah.
somebody, you're like, I want to play this role. I'm like, and it was a Shakespeare role. I'm like, just go to Central Park and perform it. Like Shakespeare is free. Like
Yeah.
grab a couple of friends and like perform Romeo and Juliet at like Belvedere Castle, like
Yeah.
balcony scene there. Like who's gonna stop you? You'll have a
Right.
bunch of tourists just sit there in awe. Like, I don't know what I'm watching, but it's good. So I think you need to do like maybe a fun party to
Yeah.
celebrate Show, like in the Times Square area.
Right.
Like invite maybe like really good relationship wise people, like have a red
Right.
carpet and maybe hire people that you like who you think would be good to photograph you and interview you. And I say that because you are a journalist and a photographer.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
just
I like that.
yeah, or just like have a photo booth so people just hit a button and they like take photos of themselves in the booth.
That sounds like fun. This also feels like a lot of money that I wish I had, but maybe someone can sponsor it. If you want
Listen,
to sponsor the show, let me know.
well,
Uh,
Patreon. Hey,
yeah.
Patreon fans, if you want you can even live stream your party for your Patreon people.
True.
And
Yeah.
your YouTube subscribers. Don't you get like a certain amount of money if you have like a certain amount of YouTube subscribers?
I mean, you definitely get like once you reach, there's like different levels. So like once you reach like 1,000
Mhm.
subscribers, you can get monetized. And then I feel like every 5 to 10, you reach like different levels of it for sure. Yeah. And now
Yeah.
I'm at like, which is crazy.
Or you can just be like, hey, show up at this bar. I'm not
Yeah.
buying drinks, but we're celebrating bwaySHO.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a good. I think I'll do like a 5 years of bwaySHO in my birthday because my birthday's January 14th.
My birthday is January 18th.
No way. Happy.
Yeah, me too. I'm a very big birthday person, and I was thinking for like the month of January to like maybe guilt people to be like, hey, it's my birthday month and I want it to be special. Come on to my podcast. Like, I
Do
don't
it.
want guilt, but I just like, I don't know. I mean, I do like, I don't, I also, because I always get excited about anybody who comes onto my podcast. So I don't want it to make it seem like I'm favoring people over other people by just being like, it's my birthday month. So it's more special. Like,
Whatever.
yeah,
So
I don't know. I'll
you
figure it
have
out.
to.
But
Yeah.
so when is the fifth anniversary of bwaySHO? Is it January?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I got here January 9th, 2019 is when I arrived to New York. And then because everything was I am if nothing not a planner. So it was like I got here January 9th, and then I had a few days to it was like not even a few days, it was like move in, and then it was like prep for Broadway Con, and then Broadway Con was like the 10th or 11th to the 13th,
Mhm.
and then
Can I
or the
ask, were you going to Broadway Con as a person going to Broadway Con, or were you just working it slash like w- talk to me
all
about
of the yeah. So they I don't know if they still do it, but back in the day, back in 2019, I think they probably still do it. You could volunteer for a day, and then you also get a free day pass. So it was
okay.
like, so I volunteered for a day, and then I got to go for a day. And then I think I paid for a press day. Not, I didn't pay for a press day. You can't, I paid for like a VIP day so that I
Mhm.
could go to some of these like panels that I wouldn't have been able to if I didn't like buy this ticket thing.
Yeah.
Now I've been lucky enough to get the free press tickets
Mhm.
recently, last few years. So, but yeah, I really wanted to like go and start doing bwaySHO stuff. But I wasn't bwaySHO at the time. I was just
Yeah.
Shoshana, your local neighborhood reporter and photographer. And then everything that week was so crazy because it was like move to New York, Broadway Con, birthday, fly to Puerto Rico, see Lin Manuel Miranda in as Hamilton in Puerto Rico, come back, do that Be More Chill at the Guggenheim, and then I saw Billy Joel. It was in like a 2 week.
No, wait. I was like, I think we saw Billy Joel at the same time, and then I realized I didn't. We did not, because I saw him in 2017. So it was like to age myself. I've already aged myself on the podcast, but the week before I turned 30, my dad like said to me, hey, your stepmom is sick, do you want to come with me to see Billy Joel? And I said absolutely yes. And I had
Oh,
a little bit of a cold, but I'm like, I am going to see fucking Billy Joel. So I kicked off the last week of being in my 20s by seeing Billy Joel. I always want to say William Joel now because of The Office.
oh, that's
His
funny.
boy played something on his recorder on Michael's birthday, and he goes, "That's the song by the artist William Joel." So now I always have like William Joel in my head. And the
Yeah,
show I saw last night was Gutenberg the musical. So they have Billy Joel playing pre-show and intermission. And as
yeah,
being like a Long Island Jew, it's like mandatory that you have to love Billy Joel.
yes, that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I remember I was in my Harlem apartment, and my friend Jackie and I will give her a shout out because she's the one that helped me create bwaySHO. We were just trying to come up with a show pun. I love a show pun. And it was in January 2019 that I like officially, I mean, not like legally, I haven't legally changed my name, but I officially changed my name to Shoshana, where I was like, and it was just kind of like, you're starting this new journey of your career. Like you're still a journalist, but you're not doing news anymore. You're doing theater. And you were like, you can help people understand it by saying it's like a stage name. But then like I started saying that, but then people were like, oh, but you still go by Samantha. I was like, no, it's like my permanent stage name. So then I stopped doing that. So I'm just like, I go by Shoshana now. And so we had like a whole list. It was like Broadway's greatest show. And then it was like bwaySHO. But then it's so funny how like Twitter had this hold on everyone. Like I needed a handle that was available on Twitter. And I know that marketing, everything has to be like streamlined. So whatever was going to be my Twitter handle was going to be my everything. And so bwaySHO was taken and bwaySHO was open. So that's how bwaySHO was created.
There you go. So when you went to see Lynn in Puerto Rico and you went to this Be More Chill thing, was that just for like your own personal enjoyment, or were you like developing content then for okay.
And unfortunately, I mean, I should probably just like download it and re-upload it on bwaySHO. I had like my old YouTube channel. So and at the time I didn't have enough followers or subscribers to like be able to change the name of it. And once again, I wanted everything to be streamlined. So I had like a couple hundred subscribers at that point. And then so there's like this old channel that's like Samantha Medney at blah 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 that you can watch.
It still exists.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I should probably just like download that stuff and upload it to my actual bwaySHO account so that it's all together. But yeah, I was doing that. And then it was a really tough decision. Like, do I create a new account or do I just see if I can like build up enough subscribers? But then it was so difficult in like January, February, March, and then it got easier. But like everything before that had said Samantha. And so it was really tough trying to like tell places like how to find me and like why I should be on your red carpet or why you should hire me to be a photographer or why this. And so like I found myself like writing these emails that now I like cringe at, but it was like, hi, I'm Shoshana. I'm a theater reporter and photographer. You can watch my coverage from this. But if you want to see my coverage when I was a reporter in Texas, you can see this, but please note that my name was Samantha. Like my emails were just so long, unlike now where my emails are so gorgeous. Reader, they are still slightly a mess. But I just remember being like, I felt like I had to really explain everything because I didn't want there to be any like confusion when you watched my like CBS 7 stuff, which I was very proud of, to then be like, who is that? Who's that girl? It's Show. It's a reference for you.
Oh no, I know. I almost said it's Jess, but I was singing
Cool.
along with you.
Thank you. So
who's that girl? They did like another reference to that in something, and now I can't like think of what it is. It's this. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
it's gonna come to me after.
Let me know. Yeah. So it was just like I like to let people know this because I think you're given this name at birth, and for a lot of people that's their name and it feels great, and for a lot of people it doesn't, and I think that it is a tough process to change your name, whether you're changing it emotionally or legally. They are both equally valid. And people change their names for a lot of different reasons. And it was like a multi-year process for me to finally feel comfortable enough to start introducing myself as Shoshana and not like look around the corner and be like, oh my God, is there someone from high school who's going to be like, she's not Shoshana? Like I was always so anxious that there would be someone who knew me from like my past life who would be like confused by me introducing myself by a different name. And it was really tough. And then I just started going by it. And then my friends were so great at just going by Shoshana. And obviously like family members or like high school or camp friends would sometimes, slip up, or they'd call me Smeds, which was my like, nickname. And I never minded if someone said it, like, because they were like in the moment or they forgot. Like, it's all about intention. Like, I prefer Shoshana, but I'm not offended if you've known me for 25 years and you call me by the name that you've called me for 25 years. It's
Yeah.
just like doing it with respect and love. And so that then, like, I think probably like beginning in probably April or so, I don't have like a specific memory, but I just remember thinking like, oh, I'm Shoshana. Like it stopped being like I have to remember that I'm going by Shoshana here, because that's what I want to, and more like when I went to the doctor's office to remember that I had a different name.
Yeah. I feel like I don't want to say it's easier now, but I've noticed in like some like applications and things that you fill out, and my
Yeah.
company is really good with like, oh, if you have certain pronouns you want to use, if you go by this or that. I feel like now it's a little bit easier because they'll even say like, what's your name? What do you prefer to be called?
Right, exactly. And that happened, I would say, like after my Shoshana change. Like I've noticed that my like the doctor's office, like I went to a really good one that had all that information. I was like, oh, this is great. And then like they called me by Shoshana when the doctor was ready to see me. I was like, oh, this is new. Like that
Yeah.
was really nice. Or like even my bank recently was like, oh, you can add a preferred name. And I was like, oh, this is really helpful. So I really appreciate for so many more reasons than just me, and especially for like trans and non-binary folks who are
Yeah.
able to change their names and feel way more like themselves, which is awesome. That since probably 2019 is when I've personally seen, like over the last like few years, so probably like 2021
Yeah.
and onward, has they've just been more cognizant, which I think is good.
Yeah. They become more, I hate like saying woke. So, how did you, so you, I'm trying to like come up with words in my brain of how to say this. I know what I want to say. So, you were saying you were reaching out to different people like, hey, I'm a reporter. I have all of this. Here's my resume. How did you start compiling a list of people who to reach out to? And then
Yeah.
at what point did you start to branch out, or you felt comfortable enough that you kind of like had your own brand to branch out on your own? And on top of that, how is it for you now do you get invitations? Do you have to reach out to press people to be like, hey, I'm bwaySHO, like I would love to cover this opening night for your show? Like, how does that work for you?
Totally. Yeah. And this I think is really helpful for a lot of folks who are looking to do this, because I always want to be as open as possible so that I
Yes.
can help as possible. But I also want to let folks know that, I studied journalism in school. I worked in journalism for a long time, and I was an on-air reporter for 2 years, which all of those things I think gave me this understanding and this confidence in this specific field. And I want other people to be able to do all of this stuff without having to do all that.
Yeah.
But
And I just want to jump in really quickly with that, because as somebody who has not studied that field and does not know about it, I'm just like, I can do that. I could talk to people. And I know the process now because of my sister.
yeah,
And I didn't realize there was so much more that goes into it. Like, because she's like, I have to, I might, like you mentioned earlier, you're your camera person, you're this person, you're your writer, you're your producer, you're your editor. And I didn't realize all of the stuff that goes into it. Like, there's a photo that she posted on her Instagram of her on Coney Island with like her microphone and her camera. Like she set that up all on her own.
totally. Yeah.
Yes. And I like, as I mentioned to you before we started this podcast too, and I just want to reiterate it again. That's why I'm so happy that you're on to tell people like the process of like how you got started and what it takes to do this. Because like I mentioned, the one of the big things I want people to get out of this podcast is that there's so many different things you can do in the field that is quote unquote theater. And,
Right.
having yes, you have a journalism background and all that, and that's very important to have. But if you want to do theater reporting, here's a way into it, and like sharing your story is great. So thank you again for sharing this stuff. Now I'm going to stop talking and you can continue.
Yeah. So I'm trying to step by step for you. Bless you.
Oh,
So,
it's a cough, but thank you.
oh, yeah, I never know what to say. I guess you just like ignore it. I don't know. It
Well, you
always
could
feels
do like, I was not a big Seinfeld person, but I know one of the quotes is whenever somebody sneezed, instead of saying God bless you, they would say, "You are so good looking." And I think that was an episode.
you
So
are so okay.
good looking. I had, when I was in middle school, I was in like resource room, and the teacher had this like matching game, like a Seinfeld matching game. And every time
Yeah.
you made a Seinfeld match, it would be a quote. So my favorite was the George Costanza voicemail, but I think one of them was, "You were so good looking."
I love that. That's great. Yeah. George Costanza. Great.
Yeah.
The Cottage. That was great.
Yeah, I was about to say, who just directed The Cottage on Broadway, which unfortunately I did miss, but
Oh no. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I was really thrilled. I got to see it. I got press tickets, which I'll get into all that in a
yeah.
second. Okay. This is a good segue. So I I went about it in a few different ways. And to this day don't know which was the right thing or the wrong thing. I'm still, I'm almost 5 years into this and it's still such a journey. But
Well, like I
I'd
mentioned earlier, you just shoot your shot. Like the worst they
right,
can say is no.
exactly. So when I was
Show your
moving,
shot. Thank you.
show
Sorry.
your
There you go.
great. Keep it going, yeah.
They'll come to
Write
me.
all
They'll
of your
come to me.
comments, please. I love show puns and I will use them.
Oh, we'll do another contest as a like aside from like the theater references, it'll be like whoever has the best show pun
Yeah.
win. I don't know. Again, I don't know what they will win.
Well, depending on what, I guess this is coming out after this, so maybe you've missed it already. But I just did that for Millennials Are Killing Musicals. So I did like a partnership with it was like bwaySHO's Killing Musicals, which I'm not killing musicals, but to get like a PR box is pretty cool. People were commenting their favorite show puns. It was great.
I used to work in the hotel industry as a concierge, so I would have a lot of it was all the same show puns, but
Yeah,
it's saying you have a different audience. So it's like,
totally.
oh, I'm in Chicago. Oh, did you feel the razzle dazzle? Oh, did you defy gravity? Like,
Love it. Keep it coming. Yeah, totally.
oh, the Lion King. Oh, it's going to be the circle of life. Oh, Aladdin. Oh, guess what? You know what's so great about it? It's going to be a whole new world for you guys. So like things like
It was
that.
great.
Oh, and the
Yeah.
the tourists loved it. And same.
Very, yeah.
I used to be really good. And then I like told somebody like, give me a show. And then I would try and think of a pun. And now I just like can't think of anything.
Yeah, I'm more like in the moment. I
Yeah.
will retort with a pun versus trying to pre-think of it.
Oh, you know that we're gonna do this now later on the podcast, that we're just gonna like name shows to each other and like we'll do like two shows each and we'll try and think of a pun for it.
Love it. I'm
Okay.
ready
It'll be for your show nanigans.
for my show nanigans. Yes, which definitely watch my interview with Ethan Slater because that was great. And you can watch my show nanigans when I started that like mini series at the Waitress red carpet in Tribeca. That's like when I really wanted we played two games because I really wanted like everything in this industry is kind of like if you can come up with like a game or a series that people get like excited for. So I have my like bwaySHO red carpet games that people expect now, which is great, and that's like show specific. And
Yeah.
then, but I also thought like show nanigans was a fun one, and I'm constantly trying to think of new show pun type series. Like I had show and tell. That was
Mm.
like series. That was great.
I don't know if this would work for you. So when I first started the podcast, I started my podcast at like the end of 2019. So it's been 4 years. And I used to have a bigger apartment. And, the people I first had on, I was actual friends with. So they would come over to the apartment. And one of the games I would play would be called Cast It or Cast Me. So I would just like put names or like random like shows or like movies or something in a bucket, and you would pick it out, and it would be a performer and you would have to like cast them in something, or it'd be a show, you would have to cast it. And I remember a friend of mine came on, and at the time he was, I don't know if they're still into the Avengers, but they were very into the Avengers. So I put like the Avengers, like who would you cast in the Avengers musical? So
which now exists, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, is that
I,
I never got, I saw like two Thor movies and like Captain America and like that's it.
I'm deep in.
Good for you. I'm not. I saw Superman because of Henry Cavill. Like I don't.
I mean, just to like showcase, I know
Oh,
they can't,
please.
but like I love superheroes. I have like a Wonder Woman. Someone gave me a Wonder Woman like Pez figure. I have like a Captain Marvel little figurine, and I have a Wonder Woman. I love me some Wonder Woman and Supergirl.
I just
So
remember seeing Wonder Woman and then like in the movie with Gal Gadot. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing her name as sexily as anybody should because she's Israeli and like this beautiful Israeli goddess. And I just remember like seeing just a shot of her face with her hair flowing. And I'm just like, I am a gremlin compared to this like Israeli beauty Wonder Woman.
totally,
And
yeah,
she was
no,
wonderful in that part too. So,
yeah, yeah, lots of thoughts on that movie series. I
oh,
love
well,
super.
we can also like if you want to sidetrack, we can talk about how James Gunn has taken over and has like cut every single person. Like I remember last year, my friend got us like front row tickets to a Happy Sad Confused with Henry
Yeah.
Cavill, who is my celebrity crush. Like ironically, right there, there's a Henry Cavill calendar behind me that my
Oh,
sister
that's
got me for the holidays. I would never buy that for myself, by the way, but she bought it for me, and I was like, I will put
yeah,
it up. But it was just announced that he was going to be back as Superman, and then like a few months later, it was like JK.
yeah. No, I had like the 17 disc edition of Superman for Smallville, and like Smallville was my jam. I had Superman Thursday. The real ones know. My friend Daniel, who lives out in Seattle, he was like, "Didn't you have like Superman Thursday?" And I was like, "I sure did." Every Thursday for like about 5 years, I would wear something Superman. So it was like either a necklace or like a shirt or a sweatshirt. I had Superman sweatpants. I had a Smallville sweatshirt. I like tie-dyed and like spray painted a Superman like a tank top that I wore at camp. But like I watched Smallville religiously on Thursdays. I mean, the real ones will also know that it was like Mondays and then Tuesdays, and they kept changing it. I was like, give me a day. But it was like Thursdays for a majority of it. And Smallville was like my happy show. I was like that nerd in high school who was watching Smallville and One Tree Hill. Those were like my high school shows.
That was the I was so in love with somebody in high school who was so into Smallville, so I just like started watching it because I was so in love with them, but I never
Yeah.
like I but like two controversial questions. One, if you knew at the time about Nexium because that girl Allison from Smallville was in it.
Right.
No, I'm not going to ask if you were going to be in it, but
No, that would have been a real bummer. I will say, like, I did try to rewatch Smallville recently,
Mm,
like a few years ago, and
yeah,
it wasn't, and I stopped because
yeah.
like it had such a special place in my heart, and like I've rewatched some of like One Tree Hill, and it's the same kind of goofy, drama and all that stuff because of drama queens, drama queens. It's a great podcast with the three girls. So I was rewatching One Tree Hill, and I was like, cool, and like Supergirl did a really great job of like grabbing some of the characters and actors from Smallville and like giving them different
Yeah.
life in Supergirl, which made me really happy. And then there was this crossover episode that made my life. There was like a Supergirl Smallville crossover episode, and I realized like that was my happy place.
Mhm.
But yeah, that there was like some drama from Smallville that now as like an adult, I'm like, oh, like Chloe is a different character now.
Yeah. Now, is it just Smallville specific with Superman, or is it like you love all Superman?
Nah, love all Superman. And now more like Supergirl now that like I
Okay.
know more. But like growing up, Superman, like with all the movies and the comic books
Okay.
and Smallville, it was more about like I just loved that idea. And like I have even like a crystal that's kind of like the Fortress of Solitude. I'm a nerd through and through.
Listen, we all are nerds about all different things. So, my controversial question for you, in
Yeah.
your opinion, Now, this is your opinion. People might agree or not agree, and it is your feeling, and it's fine. And if people have an issue with it, too bad, because it is what you feel in your soul. Who is the best Superman?
Oh, I was like so concerned where this conversation was going.
Oh,
Interesting.
we can also talk about like, I will say that I'm not going to name the shows on here, but there are
Yeah,
certain shows that I am not a fan of, and people get so like when I would first tell them, they would be like, "You don't like?" I was like, "People don't like Once, and it's one of my favorite musicals.
right,
Like, I'm not here to judge you just because I don't like this show." Anyway,
totally.
but
I
getting
will
back,
avoid that because my whole thing is trying to be like positive only, which does get confusing sometimes, and we can also talk about that. But I want people to be able to come to bwaySHO and
Mhm.
know that like their thing is being supported. Like
Yeah,
that was like my goal, is that there's so many like negative spaces out there. And some of them have like very valid criticism,
yeah,
but it's something that's like actively like racist or transphobic or anti-Semitic or something like that. Like unless if the reason that their thing is bad is because it's like a negative thing. But if it's just like you don't like the music, like I don't, you
yeah.
know,
So like getting well, so you don't want to say who your Superman is?
I don't know. It's tough for me, because if you think of a technicality, because once again, I was deep into it and I was watching like the director's cut and stuff. And like Tom Welling never technically is Superman. He's Clark Kent throughout, and then he becomes Superman and the show ends. So
Yeah,
like he's probably my favorite Clark Kent,
got
which
it.
is different. But
Mhm.
I look, I love I like the old school, like who like obviously Henry is great stuff, but they made Superman so dark. And what I loved about him was that he was like this source of light. Like literally, like the sun recharged him.
Well, they do have a new Superman coming out. They recasted Superman. And
Henry, oh,
I'm sorry.
as Henry Cavill 2.0.
Oh, I know he's very good looking too. But he and James Gunn is directing it. So I feel like it's going to be a little bit lighter, solely
Yeah,
based on like his Marvel stuff.
right.
But I also noticed too, like the Marvel stuff is a lot lighter than the DC stuff. The DC stuff
Totally.
is a lot darker. But anyway, let me like get back to what you were saying with like positivity and like theater shows.
I
I
have
think,
one more. I have one
yeah,
more
go
thing.
ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know if you've seen my video of Jordan Litz from Wicked singing like somehow I've fallen under your spell. It was this great little clip from Broadway and Bryant Park that Avery and Varson filmed for bwaySHO, and I clipped it off and I posted it and then I reposted it for Wicked 20, and it has like 330,000 views on Instagram,
Yeah.
right? It just completely blew up and everyone's like, he looks like Superman, and he does. And so
Yeah.
y'all need to bring a Superman musical or a superhero musical besides from Spider-Man to Broadway so that we can cast him as Superman. End
Wasn't
scene.
isn't there in the world of musical theater a Superman musical? Like it's a bird, it's a
Yeah,
plane. Yeah.
yes. Know about it too much. I do know my friend Mark, who does Broadway by Ghostlight,
Oh,
who,
Mark Bonanni, I know very well.
oh, excellent.
I mm, I'll just say it. I am actually part of his engagement story to his wife Lacey.
No way.
Yeah, I actually just put in the mail their holiday card.
Wait,
I
that's
know
amazing.
Mark Bonanni very well.
Well, we share our love of musicals and superheroes, and we once had a double feature
You
of,
know how I mentioned earlier, I had somebody on my podcast who I put the Avengers thing in for?
oh,
It
to
was
him.
for Mark. Yeah.
Great, love that, excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. We saw the final. I think it was Friday. I'm pretty sure we saw the final Friday of Diana the musical, front row. It was iconic. It was so good. And then we like ran downtown. We like got on subway and we saw like a midnight showing of Spider-Man. And that was a great two-show night with Mark.
Yeah, anything with Mark is great. I one year I worked, so the reason I know Mark is because I used to do merch at Broadway shows and he was a merch manager and he actually trained me. And so I said to him one year, like, I want to experience the Broadway flea market with you.
Oh yeah, that's
And
mental.
and I say this to him a lot, and I saw him this year at the flea market, and I always tell people, him and the people that I tell the story to, I'm still traumatized from
Oh
like
no, was
going.
he a
He so it was so intense, and so
yeah,
like the flea market has changed so much over the years from like what it used to be to now. So like it used to be 2 blocks completely blocked off. Now it's just like half blocks, and
right.
it's a lot different than it used to be. And it's still great if you're a theater
Yeah,
fan and you want all that stuff. It was just a lot different, like 10 plus years ago.
right.
Um yeah. But also you can listen to Mark Bonanni's episode. He was one of my
Do it.
first podcast guests too. And if you like go like a deep dive into my podcast Instagram, the photo of him is like in a on the stage of Tuck Everlasting at the Fountain of Youth.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So we got so oh yeah, going back to like I think with age, I also like you realize too, and it's like I don't have like anything negative. And I've been seeing shows since I was 5 years old. So I've been seeing shows for over 30 years. And it's just sometimes like with the movies, it's not your cup of tea,
Right.
and it's absolutely like nothing against anybody in the show because people work their asses off in shows. And like as someone who's been seeing shows for like 30 plus years, maybe it's like getting old too. Like you feel bad that like the show didn't work out in the way that people thought it could or should or would, because it takes a lot to put on a Broadway musical in general.
Yeah. My feeling is all of that, right? That, you know, unless if it's actively harmful, which I have seen an actively harmful show, and I will not, I message me if you want to know, but that was like a show that I left and it literally traumatized me for like months. And it was like really, I was like, I cannot believe I just saw this show. But besides
Was
from
it
something like,
Broadway or off Broadway?
oh,
Okay. So
can't
then,
even, it
okay.
was literally so dramatic. I like was bringing it up at every holiday to try to get some sense of like understanding.
Mhm.
Anyway, that was my friend Lauren and I saw it together. It was I can't even. So unless if it's that, which I wish I had even spoken out more about it, but I was so in shock that it existed that I didn't even know how to handle it. But besides from something like that, people are working so hard and they everyone's artistic opinion is different, and what you like might be different than what I like, and your happy musical might be different than my happy musical or play. Or I'm such a musical person, but I've definitely gotten into plays a lot more through being in this industry, and being fortunate enough to get a lot of press comps to be able to see those plays, and so that's really great. But a lot of I think like a lot of this bwaySHO positive only stemmed, if we're gonna like go back to Be More Chill, because it's a great study in so much of this, is that like I love to Be More Chill and my friends love to Be More Chill. And the audience members were going crazy for Be More Chill. And then you send a critic who is just not this demographic and who didn't like it off Broadway, and then it doesn't do well. And why are we not sending critics who are in that target demographic? Or if you don't like it, but you can at least state like this is not, like I understand that this is maybe not for me, but like you should bring your kids or your grandkids, like they'll love it. And
Yeah.
I just wish that there's some things that maybe like I don't like, but I'm like, I know that this person would like it. And so, maybe I don't like it, but I know that this person does. And this person like loved it. So you might love it as well.
That was a big thing too when I worked in the hotels, because there was a particular musical that I just didn't work for me. I wasn't a fan of it, and which is fine, but there were so many people who loved it, and it's a show that like, people much older than me would appreciate.
Yeah.
And I was sitting next to somebody when I saw the show because I went by myself, and they're like, "Oh, you just can't appreciate it because of your age." It was like, "No, I
No.
liked this other show." And but when I would work at the theater, not the theater, when I would work at like the concierge desk, I used to pride myself on being very good at picking out shows for people. And
Right.
people would always ask for my opinion. And I would say, personally, I didn't like this show, but that does not mean you are not going to love this show.
Right.
Because everybody has a different opinion on what they like and what they don't like. And, even like certain performances in shows and certain this and certain that, like, I can't remember my friends and I saw a show. I don't want to say what it was because I feel like it'll give it away. But I said, "Oh, I really, really enjoyed this person in this role." And they're like, "Really? That was like my least favorite in the
Right.
show. I liked this one and this one." I'm like, "Well, for me, it was this person who I thought was great."
Yeah.
So everybody has, their own opinions about all of the things,
Yeah, for sure.
you know.
Oh, show.
Yeah, for show. That is also a 40-year-old virgin reference. Oh, I
Uh,
love how you got the thumbs up because you're on an iPhone. So
yeah. Is that,
now that we
that a
got
thing,
like,
that a
yeah,
thing that
yeah, it's a thing that happens now. Like if you're on like a FaceTime or something, yeah,
what? This
it's
is
tricky.
crazy.
Yeah, maybe you should do a heart, see what happens, or you're holding your.
Oh, I'm holding it now. My genius creation was really.
It's okay. Did we get a heart? No,
Oh
we didn't.
no, no.
I love how people do hearts like this now instead.
Yeah, I never. What?
I don't
I don't.
understand. That's like the Gen Z generation of doing hearts. But because we got completely sidetracked for 20
Yeah,
years. Getting back to the question of like, how did you start with like reaching out to people, how you got all of these things, how you were able to be like, I got enough stuff, I'm gonna try and do bwaySHO as its
yeah,
own.
totally. So I was reaching out. I was trying to find as many press contacts as possible, reaching out directly to the press contacts, and then I was in this like theater collective with people from all over the industry, and it was kind of like, what are you looking for and what can you offer? And so we were like giving each other help and getting help back. And someone knew that Sandy Durrell with Theater Pizzazz was looking for someone like me. And I was like, boom, I could totally do that. And so I reached out to her, I applied, and I got it. I'm in this very, I don't know if you heard that. I think we're okay. So
Something fell in my apartment before.
yeah,
It scared me.
so I started working with her, got a lot of great opportunities. I got to interview Shoshana Bean and Jeremy Jordan at the Waitress event. And I was doing that same type of journalism package, but for theater. And it was great. I loved doing it. I felt like I was pretty good at it. And I wasn't making as much money because she was also a small business, and no fault to her, just I wasn't making as much money as I knew I needed to continue surviving in this world. And so then I had heard, can't remember who told me about it or if they reached out. I actually like can't remember, which is kind of wild, but somehow New York Theater Guide came into my knowledge. And I think someone had said like they're looking to hire a new like videographer, and that it wouldn't be as much of me on camera, but that when the main person was away, that like I would fill in, and
Mm.
that it was like the same sort of like opening night, and like so Sandy, like that's how I did Be More Chill. So that was great. Very grateful for my two experiences with Theater Pizzazz and with New York Theater Guide. And but they were more of like that streamlined, like I was off camera with the microphone out asking the questions, and it was a great experience. But I would like watch all these interviews with like the person on camera, and I never needed to be like famous. I just want to be famous enough that I get invited to the parties and to the shows, right? Like I want to
Or
be
that
that.
Matt Doyle knows who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be at that level that like I would be on the guest list. or
Yeah.
at least on the press list, right? Like we'll start on the press list and then get to the guest list, and then, because that's like the goal, is that at any event I'm either invited to cover it or to attend as a guest. And I've been very fortunate now that a lot of events I've now reached at least a press, which is I'm very, very grateful for. So I did that. I did like Theater Pizzazz for a few months, and I did New York Theater Guide for like a year. And then it was just kind of not, sometimes journeys are great for the time. Like I got to cover the 2019 Tony Awards with New York Theater Guide, which was great. Got some great experiences there, got photos there and all that stuff. But I really, by that point, I was like really trying to grow bwaySHO, and I knew that I couldn't do both. And I was my Broadway and Bryant Park coverage was getting some pretty good numbers and that was like me literally with my tripod and my microphone, and I would like ask a press person if they could just tap on my face to make sure it's in focus, and I would set up everything. I was by myself. And over the years now, a lot of friends have come and assisted me, and then they get the extra press ticket, which is really great. But, for so much of it, I always like to say I show up.
Yeah.
That was like literally how I got started, was that if there was a free event in New York City that had something to do with theater, I would show up. So it's like Broadway and Bryant Park, Broadway Under the Stars, Broadway Buskers. And I just, whether I was invited or not, I knew these were free events that I could cover. And so then I was doing that, and then I was filming curtain calls, and I was just like doing it. I wasn't like waiting for someone else to tell me I could or could not, because I had applied to like some of these bigger name places, and they were just like not hiring at the time. And I knew like, and now like it's so nice, some friends will send me stuff, but like I don't want to be hired as like just as, not just, but like as a photographer, videographer, because that's a part of who I am. But my main thing is as a reporter. I love being hired as like a freelance photographer for like an event, or like being an event photographer or something like that. But as a main job, I want it to be like reporter. So like on air,
Yeah.
doing that. And it's tough. It's really tough to come up with enough funds to do that full time. So people always ask, is bwaySHO a full-time job? The answer is very much yes, and also not financially. So I have bwaySHO as a full-time job, and then I also work 2 other jobs part-time, and then I also freelance as much as possible. And over the next year, I would really love to find a way to get a sponsor, or to like sponsor some segment, something so that I can make bwaySHO more of a full-time financial job, and even be able to hire like a part-time photographer, videographer, editor, because I just have so much content on my laptop that I just simply don't have enough time to edit. And I'm trying so hard. It's so wild. This is my own little rant, but sometimes I feel like I'm not putting out as much content as I would like. And it drives me crazy because I have so much stuff. And it has nothing to do with the interviews themselves. Like the interviews will give me so much life. I feel like the most myself on a red carpet. I just like I feel so alive, so alive, and I love it. And then I get home and I just get so overwhelmed by the vastness of the interviews. And so, we start with the games because it's easy and they can get a lot of views, and it helps then to funnel the other stuff. And then I came up with the idea that the Shoshans get like the full videos. But I'm constantly like, if I had like a part-time or full-time editor who could just like edit that Taryn interview, who could edit all of the different interviews. I have this like great one with Sam Pauly and Eva Noblezada from Spamalot opening night that is like on my like ever growing to-do list of things to edit. So now it's a lot of like emailing press teams who like I sometimes get it, and then sometimes like with Spamalot I got the invitation. So it's I wouldn't say half and half. I'd say like 70-30, 70 invite, and then 30 something like the waitress Tribeca, where I was like, ooh, like I I've covered Sarah Bareilles and Waitress. Like, let's see if I can get that. And then I did. So but it's still scary. I will just add to your thing about like just email and the worst that can happen is they say no. Like it still devastates me. I'm
Yeah,
gonna be 100%
I agree.
honest, and I wish it didn't. And it's like I'm trying really hard to get better at like a no is not necessarily personal. It could be for sure, but a no is like maybe that person's just really busy, right? And they said yes to their like really good friend because they like wanted to help them out because they had helped them out, right? But or like a red carpet could just genuinely be too full. And
Yeah,
sometimes and I've had events where like I got invited to one thing and not the other. And I was still sad, even though I was still covering something that night.
yeah.
So
I
I,
For those
I,
listening, I am nodding very hard with you right
yeah,
now. Yeah,
just because I do want, I don't know. I get so much of people being like, you have my dream job, or, oh my God, you're living the best life. And I am living a crazy life and I am super grateful. But I also like, there are some like massive bummers and I've posted about it. And sometimes like the trolls can be really strong. They're like, you're so ungrateful, or like you're so privileged. Like, why would you get that? And I'm like, oh my God, sorry that I'm sad that I didn't get this red carpet that I really thought I would get, or tickets to this thing. And then like on the other hand, sometimes I'll post like, oh man, I really wish I had gotten that. And then I'll maybe get a ticket to the show. And then people be like, oh my God, I was so invested. Like with Wicked 20, when I got a ticket to Wicked 20, people were like, I was so invested in you getting a ticket for that. And I'm so glad. And like Wicked has meant so much to me my whole life. And being in that room for Wicked 20, like just gave me this like energy and this like chest, like happiness, like it really like fulfilled so much in me. And I was like bummed not to be on the red carpet, if I'm going to be real honest. But then I got to go and supported and I got curtain call and my friend had an extra ticket to go to the party. So it ended up working out gorgeously. But like that was a whole journey. It was a whole journey, you
I
know?
feel like it's one of those things like you're kind of damned if you do, you're damned if you don't type of
Yeah.
things. No, for me, yes, it is a bummer. Like I say, the worst they can say is no. Like even if they do say no, I do agree. It's a little bit of a bummer, but I also, for me personally, I try to remind myself like, don't take it personally, or like, I always say whatever is meant to be is meant to be.
Yes.
So for me, it's like, all right, so they weren't meant to come onto my podcast. That's no big deal. But I am truly grateful for like everybody that I've had on, coming on, possibilities of people I've spoken to who are like, yeah, sure, I'm interested. I don't know if they're just saying that to be nice to my face, but
Right. Yeah.
I mean, but like I said, for me, it's always like, if it's like, oh my God, I just literally said it, like whatever's supposed to happen is supposed to happen. So like
Yeah.
no, you're bummed. But then I had to say to myself, like, you know what? They weren't meant to come onto my podcast.
Totally.
And
100%.
the people who I have on coming on are the ones who are meant to be on the podcast. So like you are here in this moment meant to be here and share your story. But again, it is, and it's because we're human. Like
Yeah.
people have little disappointments in their lives, like you were so looking forward to the possibility of something happening and it just didn't work out in the way that you would have hoped. So you're allowed to be bummed because of it. Is it the most important thing in the world? And because you're a human and you want to share that type of content with your followers who you feel that you have a relationship with, you are entitled to do so.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
So there we go. That's just me being the Jewish mother I am for those listening there.
Yes. Yes.
Do you want to do show puns to each other? Do you want to give each other like two shows and we'll try and think of puns?
Yeah. Waitress.
For me, okay, it's been such a long time since I've waitressed. Waitress. Like, am I saying this to you? Like, what would I say to a hotel guest? Because that's like where my puns usually came out.
Oh,
Or
like,
just like
yeah.
my, okay.
I have signed Sarah Bareilles poster over here. So I was just like, Waitress the musical.
Okay. So I love Shoshana Bean.
Yeah.
And
Same.
I again had another physical reaction when I found out she was joining waitress. And I got a little verklempt at the hotel when I sold a ticket to the like her opening performance of Waitress to a hotel guest. And I was like, it's so great. Like, you're see Shoshana Bean, blah, blah, blah. And so there is video that Shoshana Bean posted of her mother signing a playbill for a woman to a person, and that person was me.
Ah,
This hotel guest found Shoshana Bean's mom in the audience
oh my,
and had her sign the playbill. And the next day at the hotel, she gifted me this playbill.
that's
So
so,
I have a huge bin under my bed of all these playbills and programs and magazines and stuff. So somewhere in there is this signed playbill of Shoshana Bean's mom.
that's actually iconic. I do have a Louise Miranda, Lynn's dad, signed playbill that says to Samantha because I was still going by it, and that was tragic.
Listen, in the moment, you were Samantha. So
Yeah.
like there you go. But now you can look fondly back at that time to be like, at that time when I was Samantha, was that in Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Wow. That if that is like
Yeah, it was pretty great. It was pretty
yeah.
great. It was
So
like in or
oh,
2 weeks.
okay. Sorry. Go ahead. No, I just figured out my pun for it.
Great, let's go.
So
I'm
if
ready.
it were to be to a hotel guest, oh, did you figure out what baking could do?
Ah, nice,
Thank you.
nice.
I'm sure I could come up with other ones, but like, was it a bad idea that you saw that show?
Exactly. See, now that's what I would do, right? Like that's
Oh, no, it's coming. Yeah, I saw the swell season back in August and I was like, oh, it's gonna be a swell evening. I hope I don't fall slowly.
oh my gosh,
Okay,
amazing.
for you. Well, should I do like a deep cut into something that you probably didn't? Well, you grew up on Long Island, right? You're from New York or
I grew up in Westchester, which
Westchester?
always everyone always thinks I'm a Long Island girly. I wish I grew up by the beach.
I'm from Long Island and I grew up in Wantagh, which they have is the gateway to Jones Beach. It's not a beach town.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of towns on Long Island that are not beach towns, but can I give you no, that would be too hard. I can't be that cruel. Let
Oh
me
my
think. Do we want I was gonna say Scarlet Pimpernel and I couldn't even think of a
God.
quote for that. But did you I know that they did it at Lincoln Center and I was so bummed I couldn't go because I was that's when I worked in the hotels until 8 o'clock on a Monday. Um,
A friend gifted me that ticket. It was very nice.
a friend gifted me a ticket to Carousel because I don't know if he still does, but he worked for the Philharmonic and I love Norm Lewis. And
Oh,
if you want, again, physical reactions to things, his voice, I have physical, to hear Norm Lewis sing Old Man River. Oh,
oh, wild.
just so good. Okay, maybe since I have it in front of me, Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812.
Oh, nice. I never actually saw it, which is so devastating to me. I could probably still like listen to it. Give me one that I've seen. I've seen
Okay.
so many, so many.
Recently, show many recently. Or let's just do a recent one then. Why not spam a lot?
Pamela. Oh yeah. So my favorite one, this might be cheating because I pre-thought of it, but
Okay.
um I had messaged my friend group, my little Showtron friend group, called the Show Girls. It's great. Uh and I was like, I'm going to see Spamela. I need to think of a good pun. And I think my friend Judy came up with the because Alex Brightman was in it in DC, and so it was like uh I'm not undead yet because of the undead with like you know
Yeah.
Beetlejuice. So I'm not undead yet. That was good. But then I came up with always look on the Brightman side of life.
So when they have like another reopening with him, you are going to have
Yeah,
to give him all of these puns. And I know that you've interviewed him too. So maybe if that were to happen again,
yeah, yeah.
for
I love
for
Brightman.
your podcast, I should say. Yeah.
Bright real one. Brightman, I interviewed 2019 as well as Shoshana Bean at Broadway and Bryant Park. And he has just always said yes. I've interviewed him now like 5 times or something, like, and
I'm
I'm
also just not, I'm not asking you for this, but I'm putting it out there into the universe that I want him on my podcast. I have tried the agent, have not heard anything, but I have known who Alex Brightman is since 2009 when he was doing these like rated RSO concerts.
oh my God, that's amazing.
I actually found out he was doing School of Rock before they announced it publicly.
Wow.
Because again, with the merch days, you become friends with people like front of house. And I was working the Heidi Chronicles and I became friendly with like the company manager and she was leaving or she was doing something with School of Rock. And I asked who was playing Dewey. And she's like, oh yeah, I can tell you it's going to be Alex Brightman. And I was like, that's really good casting.
Really good casting. I
Yeah.
wish I could have that. Once again, it's during that like time period that I missed.
I'm a huge School of Rock movie fan,
Yeah,
so I sometimes will quote like it's pronounced Schneeblay. Uh
oh my God, so
I
funny.
when it was first announced, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? They're turning this into a musical? Like,
Yeah,
why? And I loved it. I saw it 3 times. And the first time I saw it, I didn't see Alex Brightman in it because
yeah.
the day after Thanksgiving, and sometimes a lot of the principals are out, which is fine. Like that doesn't bother me. But I said, even watching the understudy, I said Alex Brightman will be nominated for a Tony Award for this show without even seeing him in the role. And I knew.
Oh,
Yeah.
he should win the award. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Controversial takes, but
It's
not
okay.
so controversial.
We have some. I mean,
No, I can't. I can't. I can off camera.
that's fine. Well, we have one on. Alex Brightman should. There's a lot of people who should have Tonys.
Yeah, and not even necessarily for that year. I'm just gonna
Just
put
like
that.
in general, just like
Yeah,
for him existing should have a Tony Award.
I'm just saying his performance as Beetlejuice in Beetlejuice the musical was so incredible. It was so creative. It was so well done. His voice, which I've watched all those videos with him talking about the like Beetlejuice voice, but
Yeah.
just his ability, his like humor and his talent and his singing and his acting, like the way he physically embodies it, the way I saw Beetlejuice numerous times, and he always made the show different. It just one of the best theater performances I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'll stand by it.
Did you see him a lot at the Winter Garden, or is it a mix of Winter Garden and Marquee?
Both. I saw it 3 times at the Winter Garden,
Mhm.
including on Halloween. And then I saw it reopening night, Halloween, closing night,
Mhm.
and I think one other at the Winter Garden at the Marquee. But Halloween
Yeah.
is on there. It was so good.
Did you see Andrew Kober go on ever as Beetlejuice?
No, I saw him go on as Adam, but I missed. I was supposed to see his Beetlejuice, and then something. I think I got sick or something, and I couldn't see him. I did see him in Broadway and Bryant Park. Wait, I need to plug something. If this is the last thing I say on this podcast,
It won't be,
I
but continue.
I sometimes you can predict a YouTube algorithm or any algorithm, and sometimes you can't. So, like my Beetlejuice videos on my YouTube channel, bwaySHO, that's bwaySHO, have done very well. I
Yeah.
have 2 different videos from Broadway and Bryant Park that have over 1 million views on my YouTube channel from Beetlejuice. So, I've made a lot of friends. I've gotten a lot of fans and like bwaySHO followers like through my Beetlejuice videos. So whenever I post something Beetlejuice, it usually gets at least like a couple thousand or something.
Yeah.
My Halloween video of like Alex Brightman and Elizabeth Teeter swapping outfits did like very well as well. So before their final show on Broadway, pretty sure that's the timeline, I like got this inspiration because I have filmed like all of their live performances. I missed they did one like that was far away. I think it was like in Maryland. So I did not film that one. But like Broadway in Bryant Park, Broadway in the Boroughs, Curtain Up Broadway, and Broadway Under the Stars, and their album release at Barnes and Noble. So like I had 5 different
Yeah.
one, and then over the years, so like multiples of them. And I had every Beetlejuice and Lydia that had ever performed live. I want to throw out Abe Goldfarb, who was an understudy, Abe Juice, but who didn't go on, and I did not get a video of him, which is very tragic. But like the rest of them, like Will Blum and Kober and then like Teeter and all of them,
Yeah.
Presley. I had a whole Elliot Maddox. Now I'm like going through all of them. Sophia and Caruso and Dana Steingold and Nevada Riley. Boom. Look at that. Steel trap. Uh, and so I put together this video that I was so proud of, which was like every Say My Name cut up that I had filmed to like in one video. So you like heard Alex and all of them go together. It got like 5,000 views, which 5,000 is great, but when you have a video that has like 2 million views, your brain is just kind of like, why does this not have more? And it was like I timed it so well. Anyway, please go watch my Say My Name with all the Beetlejuices and Lydias on bwaySHO YouTube, and that will make me very happy.
Well, the reason I brought that up is because I know Kober from
Oh
I
no.
did 4 readings with him during the pandemic. So
Wow.
when he first went on as Beetlejuice, I remember texting him and saying, well, also we did the reading company I was a part of, we did a cabaret and I was hosting it and I was like, what do you want your intro to be? He's like, well, I'm going into, I can tell you, I'm going into Beetlejuice. He's like, if they announce it before the show, then yes, you can announce that I'm
Yeah.
going to be in Beetlejuice. But if they don't announce it before this cabaret, don't announce it. So, so like it was funny when my friend, one of my best friends who is a part of this reading company as well, she messaged me like, oh my God, Cobra's going into the Beetlejuice. And I was like, yeah, I knew. Like I found out. But no, I texted him when he was like first going on because I honestly like I said to him, like, if you're ever going on as Beetlejuice, like I want to see you. Um, but I got COVID and I texted him and I said, I'm sorry, I missed you going on as Beetlejuice. I'm really bummed I missed it, but COVID had other plans.
COVID
But
had a
yeah, I just never got a chance to go back to Beetlejuice. But anyway, since should we give you a Beetlejuice pun instead of Great Comet? Or well, no, we did.
yeah, we did spam a lot. I'm gonna give me 2 seconds. I am now my my brain is like, you turned off the tea, right? Okay, I did. That's good. I but actually this is kind of funny. Funny timing. I will show you this.
Mhm.
Um at the Broadway flea market, I got this Beetlejuice candle.
Oh, beautiful. Well, that's why I asked you if it was a Broadway candle original before.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I do have this here. This stays in my kitchen. I'm gonna stop the video again for 5 seconds so I can go back. But I like
So
my
you
brain was
can give me a tour of your apartment. I have been given many tours of many different people's places just on these Zoom calls via interview.
yeah, it is a journey in this tiny little spot. Beetlejuice. Oh man, I've done so many over the years. Can I mean, the obvious one with mine is like it's showtime.
Oh yeah,
And I will just stick on that because that's the best one for me.
yeah,
And I was so nervous. I It's so funny to talk about this now, but Alex Brightman had always been so nice, right? Like always just like made me feel at ease as an interviewer. Like I felt like our rapport was great. I could like joke back and forth. And like I was just like, I really want a video of him saying it's showtime because of my name. And
yeah,
like it's actually less that it was a famous line and more that it was a line in the show that had my name in it.
yeah,
And but like, I also try really hard not to ask I try not to ask actors for a favor that is something that they like do all the time or that they would get paid to do. It's just like, but this was, I was like, oh, I feel like we've built up a good rapport. And so we're at the end of like this hour-long interview. And I was like going back and forth in my brain. Should I do it? Should I not? Like risk reward. And I finally was like, you know, Alex, can I have you say the famous line for me? Something like that. And he's like, what? And I was like, the one with my name in it. And then he goes like, it's showtime. I was like, yes. I was so happy. I looked like a little child in a candy store because I was just like, he said it. And then I've clipped that off. And then he did this video like, it's showtime. You're watching or listening to bwaySHO. It was like, oh my God, I was so happy. So that I think it's a great story because like I am a fan, and
Yeah.
as a reporter, sometimes it can be very confusing to figure out where the fan and where the reporter, like where they live together and where they don't. And it's very tough sometimes to know because like we have all these great stage door moments, but then I stopped stage dooring for a while. And I realized recently that stage dooring brings me happiness and that I'm either going to get these interviews or I'm not going to get these interviews. It's not that like when I'm stage dooring, like I'm a fan. I'm not, I'm not like sometimes I'll get content of them, like a photo with them
Mhm.
or whatnot. Oh, um, my my apartment person is calling me. Stand by for 1 second. I just need to make sure
I'll pause.
recording again.
Okay, we back. So like we're coming kind of towards a close. So let's just like really quickly, do you have any top going theater experiences? I mean, other than Be More Chill, it seems like you have.
Yeah,
Do you have
be
any
more.
other? Mm-hmm.
Seeing Jessica Vosk's final performance in Wicked was really phenomenal. Seeing uh Hamilton in Puerto Rico starring Lin-Manuel Miranda on his birthday,
Oh,
that
wow.
was, yeah, his birthday's 2 days after mine. So my birthday was on a Monday, and so there wasn't a performance on my birthday. So then I like was looking up different dates, and it just so happened there's a reason I'm a big Hamilton fan because Hamilton's birthday is January 12th, my birthday is the 14th, and Lynn's is the 16th.
And then mine's the 18th. Look at that. I should be more
Look at
obsessed
us.
with Hamilton then.
Come on now. That was great. Hadestown reopening night was really, really phenomenal and out of this world. And I've had Beetlejuice Halloween both times. Just really phenomenal. There's so many. Those are probably uh the top ones. And Juliet first preview. That was really great. I saw Invited Dress and first preview, which was really, really great. I'm like looking around my apartment at all Newsies. Oh my God. I saw Newsies in college, and then I saw Newsies in the West End recently. And I really hope it transfers because that was great. Guys and Dolls in the West End, really phenomenal as well. Um
What else did you see in the West End? Because, like I said, I just announced somebody today who I saw in a show
yeah,
there. But for me, when I went to London, I was very adamant about not seeing a show I had already seen or like what would possibly come to New York or I could see in New York. So I
yeah.
just think, I mean, I will say I did see Great Expectations with Eddie Izzard because I missed it when they were in New York.
Wow.
Yeah. So, oh my, and they're coming back with Hamlet.
I know. I know. I got, yeah, that was great. Oh, also, I'm looking at, I have a little like tick tick boom mug here. I saw this tiny little production, this 3-person production in like this, like almost like a school basement. It was a small little immersive thing, and
Mhm.
it was so great. I really like it made me really love uh like small intimate theater because you were like seated and you were like in Jonathan Larson's apartment for
Oh,
the whole thing. It was so great. And I really hope they do it again. And I will definitely post about it. I was so lucky. I got like a single press ticket for it. And I went on a Friday and it was completely sold out. So I was like talking about it, but no one could even get tickets. It was amazing. I really love when small theater. I just saw something else pretty recently that I felt that same way where you're just like tiny little theater. And okay, this last one, when I saw Merrily off Broadway in the small little New York Theater Workshop. I thought of it because I saw Marry Me at New York Theater Workshop recently, which I absolutely loved. And seeing like I mean, it's bonkers to see, Daniel Radcliffe, Jonathan Groff, and, my love, Lindsay Mendez, and the rest of this amazing cast with some of my friends in it, uh, in this tiny little space. Like, it's absurd. It should not happen. And then you get to just see them right there, and seeing my friend Shares and Liana like really getting to grow with this show on Broadway. Like, I saw that first preview and opening night, and that was out of this world. So those are, I'm sure that someone else is going to be like, what about when you saw this? Like, yes, when every Freestyle of Supreme performance. I mean, I saw way too many of those to specifically uh point out one, but let's just say Freestyle of Supreme, blanket statement.
So one other question I always ask is like dream roles, but for you, do you have and K-pop? What? I'm just in a black shirt, but do you have any like dream scenarios or interviews for yourself
Yeah,
that you'd like to do? Would you like to do like an Oprah sit down type interview with someone, get really into it?
totally. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about like future type of formats because I love a red carpet interview. Like,
Mhm.
the dream is to just be a staple on every red carpet
Mhm.
for Broadway, off Broadway, and then do more like behind the scenes type of interview. So I did this really fun one. Was it last year? I think it was last year, with the play that goes wrong. And I got to like experience like the thing falling, and it was really fun. And I love being like behind the scenes and like I'm such a yes and person that if I can showcase like how these like tricks get done or bring a
Yeah.
little bit of to the folks at home, I would love that. Or like a sit down. So yeah, I love the idea of changing up the format and just different immersive ways. I want to bring immersive theater to theater reporting.
Hey, woo, woo, woo. All right. So I know you need to like get going with your day. I feel like this is like my Josh Gad and Gutenberg.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, I see
Mhm.
it.
Thank you. Well, I'm sitting down, so you can't see me do my Andrew Reynolds, but
Oh yeah.
you can stay on after I stop recording. But thank you so much for coming on. You're actually welcome back anytime if you want to just like theater geek out about whatever you want to theater geek out about. And thank you for those who listen. bwaySHO, where can they follow you?
Thanks for asking. You can find me at bwaySHO. That's bwaySHO, like Broadway show, Shauna, across platforms. So YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, I guess Twitter, but I have not been as big on that recently. And you can become a Showtreon by heading to patreon.com/bwaySHO.
Yeah, I think we're going to end there. Thanks all for listening. Go see a Broadway show or a B-Way show.
Ooh, thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.